Captain's Log, Episode 24. This week's episode of the Beer Vengers podcast is sponsored by Astoria Beer and Cheese Ditmars, located at 35-11 Ditmars Boulevard in Astoria, Queens. Stop by for their incredible St. Patrick's Day special. $22 gets you 2 cans of this week's sponsored pour, Big Alice Nitro Rover Oatmeal Stout, 3 kinds of cheese, and a generous helping of Irish soda bread, courtesy of Amy's Bread. Available while supplies last. Enjoy the eclectic array of craft beer, artisanal cheeses, and specialty grocery items at Astoria Beer and Cheese Ditmars, home bar to yours truly, Captain Porter Brown Stout. This week's episode features a reunion for some and an introduction to many. Our guest beer venger to be spins an origin story that takes us many places. We indulge in 7 unique pours from only 2 states. And if you stick around to the end, thanks to our guest of many talents, you'll hear a whole new take on our theme song. Remember to like, star, and subscribe us whenever that feels appropriate. And send us your emails at thebeervengers@gmail.com if you have any questions, suggestions, or if you just like hearing us talk about you on the show. And now, without further ado, please enjoy episode 24, For Whom the Cowbell Tolls.
Oh, we're the beer vengers, beer vengers, beer vengers. We're the beer vengers.
Welcome to the Beercast, everyone. Coming to you from an undisclosed location in Astoria, Queens, I am Captain Porter Brown Stout.
Coming to you from an undisclosed location on the west side of Manhattan town, this is the Pale Male Hophead Huck.
And coming to you from an undisclosed location in the county of Kings, it is I, the Beer Wonder!
And we are the Beer Vengers. Yeah. It's always looking for different interpretations on that one. Yes, that's right, everybody. We are the Beer Vengers. And welcome to the show, everyone out there, all our Beer Vengers. What I like about our fans is that everyone else has to have a cute name for their fans. You know, like Beyonce has the Beehive, Justin Bieber has his Beliebers. Our Beer Venger fans, they're also Beer Vengers.
It's true.
Yes.
I kind of like that. We got a really great show coming up, a bunch of great new pours, and we have a very special guest with us, a guest Beer Venger to be. Please welcome Eric Chirkover.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Fantastic to be here.
And you're going to learn all about him and his beginning story. Beginning
His
saga.
story.
Beginning story, yes. Well, I didn't want to accidentally cue up the song.
It's like a mousetrap.
Sound.
Yeah.
But yeah, you'll be hearing all about him and learning a little bit about a little more about definitely Michigan beers and maybe something about Canada as well.
Ooh.
And we've got all that and our various weeks in beer. But before we do any of that, I mean, gentlemen, let's get to the pours.
Oh, yeah.
Goodness,
I am ready to pour.
I know.
I've got a really good beer I want to start with right now.
Captain.
What?
Captain.
What?
I realized last week it was a bad moment for me, and I really stepped on it. But let's just remember we do have a guest.
Oh fuck!
I know.
I mean, not fuck that we have a guest. Fuck that I fucked up so fucking badly.
I know. This happens Eric.
It's pretty much every week now.
We're all still working on it at this point. I mean, it was me last week, so I completely understand it. But I feel like we should let our guest go.
The captain's always been a bit of a Bulgarian, so you'd like me to go first?
Yeah, please. What do you got there?
Absolutely.
If you would.
I'd be pleased to. We're civil here.
What I'm going to pour right now is from Short's Brew. It's called Huma Lupa Licious, and it's an Indian pale ale. So let's. Full disclosure: I listened to one of the previous shows. I understand the crack of the can is important. So let's see if this goes as I hope it does.
Ooh, okay, that was excellence right there.
Got its own like that's a signature crack.
Yeah. It's basically saying, "I'm here. Let's go."
Yeah.
I know that beer is ready.
I'm going to use that.
We'll do the pour in my bicycle glass.
Excellent. Oh my goodness. So it's got that nice sort of like dark gold color that you kind of expect off of an IPA. Oh, there's good head
Oh
forming.
yeah,
That's
it's a beautiful beer.
mhm.
Very a nice golden color. Won't say too much right now. I know we want to talk about it a little later, but I want to make sure
Where
that
is Shorts Brewery?
I feel like I heard of them.
Yeah, I
Shorts
know the name
Brewery.
sounds
Look
familiar.
at this
You'll
pour.
have to
This
let
is like a
This is
this
an
is like a
expert pour.
Yeah.
This is
grand
like that is
pour.
exact that see you've got like a solid inch of head on the top of that beer. That is what you want with a good
yeah.
IPA like this bad boy. Like that is just gorgeous. That is
The
chef's
beer does
kiss.
it all.
And you got the whole can in there too, in
Hmm.
that 16-ounce pint glass.
Yeah, that's right. And to answer your question, I think who asked where it was from?
I did.
It's from Elk Rapids, Michigan.
Elk
Oh,
Rapids,
See if I can
Michigan.
get this
All
right.
right.
Oh, that's a
That is
beauty.
wow.
wonderful.
That's gorgeous.
Yeah.
And
That's
that
gorgeous.
So
that's a 16-ounce
there you
can?
go. No, that's just a regular 12 ounce
12,
can.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Oh,
wow.
okay. I thought it was a 16-ounce pint glass.
That's cool too. I'm into 12
It's
ounce.
well, I don't even know. This is a glass that I got from a friend, but
It looks nice.
it served me well. So
Yeah,
anyway,
it seems to have some magical quality to it. Yeah, I like that.
yeah,
Well, I got a
right on.
12 ounce this week myself. I'm coming
A
back
little-
to I'm coming back to New York, going to our friends at Big Alice.
Oh,
Oh,
hey, Big
wow.
Alice.
Now this is a real Captain beer. This is called Sleep Now in the Fire.
Oh, it's such a good beer.
smoked porter that's been aged in Kentucky bourbon barrels,
Oh, wow.
and they have
Yeah.
another one that was aged in Islay Scotch barrels.
Mm.
But that's like in a nice bottle. Oh, this is going everywhere. That's
Oh
in
my
like
goodness.
a bottle, So this is like the
They pack their cans tight.
Oh, and you
They
can
do.
smell the bourbon right off the can.
Oh yeah.
Really, wow. All right, let's do this.
Wow. See, now that's what for a bourbon barrel aged beer, that like deep dark brown color is just what you want
Oh,
there.
yeah, it
Yeah.
looks pretty good.
Mhm.
That's a
That's
gorgeous
really nice.
color.
Yeah, good, decent head retention too for a beer that's probably fairly high alcohol, I'd imagine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's not too high. Eight.
Is that glass?
Okay.
8? Okay.
Yeah.
Is
there
that
we go.
glass sort of important for that type of beer? Or we can get to that later. But I just was
I'll tell you. I
curious.
did look that up
Yeah.
earlier, and the results
Okay, I
were,
just was curious about that.
Mixed.
I wasn't happy about the results, but we could talk about
okay.
that.
All right.
Anyway,
well, Captain,
please.
you were so excited. Do you wanna go next?
Well, it would only be polite, I think, if you went next.
Oh, okay. Well, then I will. Here's the thing: if we're playing the politeness battle, I'm also doing a local. I'm doing a local beer to my undisclosed location in the county of Kings. I am getting the OBL or Old Bavarian Lager, which is a Helles Lager from our dear friends at Folksbier, which is a wonderful small brewery that is doing old school style beers as well as some new innovative things. This one is very cool. The whole process is pretty old and goes back to the tradition. But I'm excited to drink this one because this is just a terrific example of theirs. And you can already see it's bubbling up on top of the can.
Oh, yeah.
This one has got a very hard carbonation to it, so I'm excited. Okay, yeah, it's even tricky to pour because the bubbles are so
Look at that.
intense. But isn't
Nice
that beautiful?
golden color.
That's
Yeah,
a freshie, huh? That's just coming out of there.
Oh yeah,
Beautiful head.
I know. This one is alive and ready to go. I'm not even able to. That head is so aggressive. I'm not even going to be able to fit the whole cannon. I don't think. But I can smell it right now. I'm so excited.
Oh, nice. Yeah, their lagers are top notch.
Yeah, exactly. All right,
All right,
Captain.
well, I got to get to mine. So now mine this week is a
Sponsored pour.
that you might recognize that from an episode a couple weeks ago when Wheat Lightning harmonized with herself. So I had to save that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
nice
it is a
save.
sponsored pour from our sponsor, Astoria Beer and Cheese Ditmars at 35-11 Ditmars in Astoria, Queens. And one of the reasons I didn't want to go immediately after you is because I thought it would be weird to have the same brewery try twice in a row. I have a Big Alice as well.
Hey,
All
Big
right.
Alice! It's a
Wow.
good week for
It
Big
seems to be
Alice.
disappearing here, but this is a Nitro Rover.
Yeah.
It's 100% New York State Nitro Oatmeal Stout.
Ooh, fun.
But unlike Huck and I are like trading places, it's a 5%er.
Okay, all right.
So here we go. There's this thing. And in fact, when I said about how they pack their cans so tightly,
Yeah.
I was concerned about this one. It was so tight. I'm like, I hope this isn't frozen.
Yeah, I just
but I
had to
don't
wipe the
think
keyboard. I had to wipe the table. Here we go, Cap.
Oh, look
yeah,
at
there we go.
that. I mean, even for a 5%er, I'm surprised at how thick that one looks like it's pouring. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
And there's a nitro pellet inside the can, yeah?
I guess so. Yeah. I don't know. Is that how it works? I've
Well, you'll
never
know
been
when it's
quite
empty.
you'll
sure.
hear the
Right.
rattle. Yeah, you'll hear the
All
rattle.
right. So it seems to be
Oh
disappearing.
yeah, I
so
can
I'll just
see
throw
it.
the
You can
glass
see
up
that
here.
nitro bubbles.
Oh
over
yeah!
there.
we go.
Oh my gosh, look at that! Oh, that's fun.
Yeah,
What a
really
fun
great.
beer! What a fun
Oh,
collection.
well,
Cheers.
cheers.
Cheers! All right.
Oh, that's nice. Really smooth.
I love that moment in the show where we all just
That shared silence.
that shared
Yeah.
silence. Yeah, that's good. Well, welcome, Eric, man. Great, so
Yes.
great to have you
Thank
here.
you. Yeah,
We
no, it's
go
great.
way back here with the gang. Way back. We go back so far.
So far, back in our day, we
There used to be a decade called the '90s.
didn't call it beer, we called it fun juice.
The only options then were Michelob Light and Pabst Blue Ribbon.
And hams. We loved the hams and the Schaefer back then.
Yeah, we did all drink together. It wasn't so much focused on specific beers, but yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm not trying to make and honestly, and I know that Huck has criticized me on occasion
Oh gosh.
for enjoying beers that are not necessarily as flavorful as what we're enjoying right now. But I think that um, to, to to disparage any beer is problematic. I
I
like
have
all.
learned that. I definitely have learned that.
I've never ever turned down a beer. Like, let's say you're at a backyard barbecue and someone offers you a beer that is,
You take it.
you take it. And then sometimes knocking back a. We're not going to name names. We're not going to talk about different the beers.
Oh,
But
we could talk. We could talk.
well, I just think.
Oh,
that,
you are giving your actual identity.
He's
We're
talking
hiding
about
behind
macro
the
breweries here.
monikers.
The big
talking
kids
about
out there.
the mega breweries, but that's also part of my backstory. So we'll get.
I've
to
already
that.
said fuck founders on this show, so
Yeah.
Well, it was funny because when you said it was like I have I'm an embarrassment of riches in Michigan,
Yeah.
and there's nothing wrong with Founders or Bells.
Well, there actually is a
But
little bit wrong with Founders, but we've discussed that on the show before.
Yeah.
We can get into that again.
oh, they
if
had
you
a
want to, but yeah.
political brouhaha that was not cool.
Well, a racist brouhaha, but
Yeah, racist brouhaha. You're right. It's not political. It's racist.
that's
So
what
that's what-
politics is now. Is it racist or not
well,
racist? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Huck
know.
mentioned fuck founders because that whole situation
That
inspired
situation.
a hashtag, a fuck founders hashtag specifically
Yeah.
on social
Which
media.
is unfortunate because they make good beer.
Oh, great
I
beer.
agree.
Great beer.
And then of course from my standpoint, Bell's is good beer, but it's also ubiquitous.
Yeah, it's
and
everywhere here too.
There's just a
Very
lot
true.
more to offer. So I mean, I could talk about this beer now if you want. Or we
Yeah,
can-
well, tell us about
yeah,
that
let's
beer.
hear
What do
about it.
got-
Yeah, we
what do
want to
got
know
in
what
there?
this is because this is exciting.
I'm gonna give you the Coles Notes version. So Huma Lupulicious, I think Humulus is it? I had to look this up. Humulus lupulus is basically, I think, the
It's the core of the hop.
Latin
Yeah.
word
Yeah,
for hops.
Right.
Um,
Right.
And when I first moved here, I had no idea that Michigan was this really kind of treasure trove of beer, of craft beer. And I had it first had it on draft at a place that I'm happy to mention if I can.
yeah,
Please do.
totally.
In the town that I live, I'm in Mount Pleasant, Michigan, and if you ever are in Mount Pleasant, Michigan, do yourself a favor and go to the Bird Bar and Grill.
Ooh,
Which
bird
happens
bar and grill, like
the bird is the
bird.
word,
Okay,
and happens to be the closest bar to me, 10-minute walk, which is a good thing or a bad thing depending on how your spouse feels about it. But well, putting that aside,
Biking
12
distance.
they have 14 taps. 12 are always Michigan, and the other two I think are what is it? Miller Lite and Guinness.
Okay.
At,
Well,
at
you got
night,
something for
it's a
everybody.
college bar. During the day, it's for people like me. But my God, when I first tried this stuff, from Elk Rapids, um, what is it they say about it? It's a complex hop and malt theme park in your mouth. Trademark, which is
Trademark.
goofy, but
So this is a
it's
favorite. This is like one of your.
7.7%, so it packs a punch.
I'm sorry. Say
And
the
I
ABV
couldn't
again.
tell you what the hop profile is, but it's hoppy. I mean, that's the point.
So we're talking
So
like
I
West Coast old school style IPA.
I fell in love with it, and
Mm.
so it's a fabulous beer. It looks good, it tastes good, great with food, um, and shorts. And tell me if I'm going too long, because I don't want to.
No, I want to hear about it.
No, we
Yeah,
want to hear
because
about
I
it.
don't want to
this is
steal your
part of the
thunder.
great thing about having you on the show, and one of the many things is to find out about your region. We're all about local
Yeah.
beer wherever it comes from.
Yeah, we're not even going to
Shorts.
talk tonight. That's the plan.
Shorts Brew has a lot of different ales and beers and
Mm.
lagers and all the rest of it coming through. I mean, they really do a bunch every year. They have seasonal ones. They have things that are like, boom, it's a limited edition.
Oh
It's
yeah.
one and done, and it's gone. And I have been told by Ben, Ben from the Bird. He's one of the people who runs the place, and he's a friend. That if you go to their brewery, you're in for a treat.
Mm.
It's just like nice people. Um, there's food,
Mm.
and also like all those things that don't even get to the bottling or canning stage.
Yeah, yeah.
So they do great work. They are definitely. I mean, it's the kind of thing where you kind of almost don't want them to branch beyond Michigan,
Right, right.
Yeah,
Yeah, we got a
yeah.
few of those here.
but then again, you want to share it. So I don't know.
No, you
It's
want
one,
them to be successful.
you want them to be successful, absolutely. So
You
Shorts
worry
Brew,
that mass marketing might compromise their recipe if you're not careful.
Mm.
yeah, and I know nothing about marketing or even how to make beer. I just like drinking beer. So they
No,
definitely
that's
they do
half
it
of
right.
the battle.
No, what I was meaning, I feel sometimes there's a concern whether it's always recognized or not. Is that when a brewery decides to go big, that sometimes their recipe to deal with the new volume, they may make a few compromises. And when it's small batches and smaller recipes, it seems to have more integrity and purity.
I
Yeah,
think you're right.
like
Yeah.
with Lawson's. What's the beer? Sip of Sunshine. Sip
Yeah.
of Sunshine. It was huge in Vermont. Just it was replacing Hetty Topper as the coolest beer, you know. And they expanded and they contract brewed in Connecticut out of Two Roads, and something the recipe it just didn't work for people in the same way, and it became sort of a wah beer, you know, like
Yeah.
people weren't interested in it anymore, and it was they
That,
were
that,
blaming it on the flavor. It wasn't because they got big, man. It was that something was different. It wasn't the same. Yeah,
Yeah.
that story is pretty
it can
familiar.
happen. It can happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was just looking at Short's Instagram. They got a little Huma, little one.
Oh,
I just
Very
tried
good.
at a friend's place. They have a. I didn't know if I would like it. I think it was like a lemon. It was like a citra with ginger.
Okay, I like it a
Wow,
ginger.
mm-hmm.
it was so good.
Yeah,
They don't make a mistake. Um, they may make the odd beer that I don't much that isn't for me,
right.
but they never make a mistake. They
Wow.
just really have a guy who or gal, as the case may be. I don't know. They have a team of people who make beers consistently, and I think they only have 6 that are like available year round, and the rest
Right.
is
You see them in the grocery stores, maybe.
yeah, and then you nab it when you can, and so yeah, it's that's my story about short.
Nice. How's that lager treating you there, B Dubs?
Oh, I mean, well, here's the thing: you can't go wrong with a folks beer lager. You just
Yeah.
can't. I know. Pale Ale. This is one of your go-tos
Oh,
in
for sure. For lagers, yeah.
Yeah,
Love 'em.
exactly. And what I love about folks beer is they've been around for just about 5 years, and they're just doing everything as old school as they can. So they do what's called the step mash process with this one, where they're actively kind of using different increases in water temperature to start to pull out some of the additional sugars that are on the on the inside of the grain, which is the process that would have been done in Bavaria. Like, this is why it's the old Bavarian lager.
Right.
And then they do a hard carbonation because they wanted to have all these bubbles. And so it's just so clean and crisp and refreshing. I mean, it's what is this? This is something like a 5% beer.
Yeah.
So
Where are they from?
These guys are in Brooklyn. They're
Brooklyn town.
Oh, neat. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
yeah, they are in. They've got. It's literally like they're on a residential street. You kind of come around a corner.
It's a
and you
great
look.
spot.
It's beautiful. I don't know if they've been doing any outdoor stuff. I mean, they are open now that New
We
York is
should
open.
go there.
We should investigate. Beer Ventures mission.
We are dying to get out, man.
Oh yeah.
Hit these
But-
breweries.
But they do everything on site. They've got a really small brew house. They do it all old school, and they just consistently make good stuff. But Eric, to your point, in addition to this old school stuff, they're also big into new school things. So
Yep,
they'll
they do the
some
hazy
kind of-
IPAs too.
and they do a lot of fruiting,
Mhm.
which if you're doing a traditional German style is one of the ways that you can add a little extra flavor to that if you're
Right.
abiding by all the rules. So a lot of really cool fruited beers. And I don't know. I mean, Huck, you might know more about this.
The glow up series.
Well, the Glow Up series, yeah, the Glow Up
Each
series. is
glow
what I
up
was
has a
thinking.
different fruit. They're Berliners, right? They're
Yeah,
Berliner.
yeah,
They're
all Berliner.
so good.
Yeah, just across the board. But also they I feel like most of what they do. I mean, this is one of their standards. They also have an excellent pilsner. But I feel like all of their beers are pretty short run.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Their pilsner is consistent,
Mhm.
but it's also it is done in batches, so it's not always there.
Right.
So I'm pretty sure it seems like they're expanding, but I don't think so. I think they just make the pilsner more often,
Yeah,
and that
that's-
when you're having the OBV.
Yeah, and the OBL.
Those two are kind of the ones you see the most that are always in rotation.
Right.
And then they make
But-
these special IPAs, and the glow ups are always changing the fruits.
Mhm.
So yeah, they got a good system going there. Very good
Well, it's funny you
system.
mentioned fruit beer because I'm going to just harp on shorts because here we are.
No,
But
yeah.
they have an at the Bird. One of the Bird rotates taps pretty frequently, but they have some that are consistent. Like literally, it's always going to be there. And it's another shorts. It's called Soft Parade, and
Aha.
it's a fruit based ale. It's again that's actually, now that I think of it, that's probably the only one that I wouldn't gravitate towards because it's a little too sweet. Um, but I know the reason why, and this is what's cool about having a local that sort of acknowledges its customers. There are a couple people who come in there, maybe more than a couple of people who come in
Mhm.
there on a regular basis, and they can't wait to get their tall of Soft Parade. So and it's available obviously in bottles and stuff,
Yeah.
and it's hugely popular and consistent.
Nice.
I've tasted it. It's perfectly delicious.
Yeah.
But it's just a little on the. I like things that are a little more bitter.
I see it here.
So
Would you say your basic wheelhouse is the IPA?
for me, yeah, absolutely. Although you mentioned Pilsner, I really it's sometimes I find it a little bit difficult to find a really really good Pilsner.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been doing the past year and a half.
Mhm.
I've been looking for the best lagers and
Because
pilsners.
I think I like IPA in the cold months, and then a nice Pilsner, a nice crisp cold Pilsner, when it's a little bit warmer.
Yeah.
And it's a little more bitter. I like that bitterness. It's just more. There's something about it. Although I love lagers too, but Pilsners are a little harder to come by.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I think they're harder to make as well. Is what I was told.
One of the things that we've experienced and talked about a little bit with the craft beer scene is, since so much of it is trend driven, anytime one beer starts to trend, one style starts to trend, all the others kind of suffer a little bit.
Very true.
Not in quality, but in being able to find
Yeah.
it.
I think that's true.
So at some point, sometime, whether that's the New England IPA, whether it's what we keep hearing sour is going to be the next one.
Well,
Sours are getting huge here.
Yeah.
And I do think, even though I love IPA, I think that I almost feel a little bit bad that they've kind of taken over,
mm-hmm.
and
I'm
it
phasing them out of my life, actually.
doesn't really have to be that way. But the market does what the market does, I
Mhm.
guess.
Yeah.
No, well,
I-
it's true. I mean, and once the hazy sort of picked up as being the popular trend, we had Rick from Sorry Beer and Cheese Ditmars on talking about how like the hazy boy is the thing that everyone likes now because it's an easy drinking IPA. It's blown up, but I agree with you. There's only so far you can take that, right? All of a sudden,
Yeah.
all the hops start tasting the same, and So it doesn't have to be that way. So once we start looking for new flavors, then it's like, where do we go from there?
Right. Well, the evolution is supposed to be that you start with IPAs, and then you get into imperial stouts, and then you get into sours, and then you go back to lagers. So you start with lagers, and that's supposed to be the evolution of the beer drinker. I'm to the lager point, folks.
Hey, well, then you're doing well. But speaking of, you do
I still
not
like
have
all the other styles, though.
you don't have a lager tonight,
No,
Huck.
and we
In
haven't
fact,
talked about these.
and you have a beer that I love. I love the Sleep Now in the Fire.
Oh, you've
but I've
had it,
never,
yeah.
I haven't been able to
never,
find it yet.
but I've never, because I'm friendly with the folks at the Barrel Room, Big Alice's Barrel Room, but I've never had the one that they were barrel aging, and I remember seeing those barrels. So I am super intrigued about what this is tasting like.
Yeah, it's actually really nice. It's got a real syrupy mouthfeel, like and your lips are sticking together. And I think that we also have the Big Alice with the cap in there too. But this one's it's nice.
I was just noticing, this is just for those of us who are, you won't see a lot of pictures of my can when I put this online.
Yeah,
because this is a mostly green can, and I'm
It's
afraid
blending
it's
in.
not
Oh,
with
you
the
hold it right in
Yeah.
front of your face.
This
No,
is
but
totally
that's not
even
because
then.
there's so much green on the can.
Oh, it's a green screen.
Because it's supposed, yeah,
It's its own green screen.
Yeah.
That'll
but
learn
yeah,
you. No more green.
and Eric, to give you a little more context for Big Alice, the reason they're named that is because they're in Long Island City. Beer Wonder was talking about how they also now have a presence in Brooklyn, but they started in Long Island City.
Okay,
So
cool.
the LIC in Alice is all in caps. So Big Alice.
Long Island City. Yeah. Nice.
They've also just expanded to the Finger Lakes.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah,
That's
they
exciting.
just opened a place this week. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Way to go, Big
Very good.
Alice. Good
Yeah.
job.
Yeah.
They're quietly making a really nice presence felt in the state.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Nice.
since we're just emerging from we seem to be emerging from winter. I don't know, it's not going to always permanent, but it was like 62 degrees here in New York City today.
Yeah.
But I haven't been out to the Big Alice to the source since for a few months, just because the best way for me to get out there is on a bike, and it's just been too cold for that.
Yeah, that's true.
A bike in time's coming back. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, we like this. I wish it was a little smokier because I'm trying to do a smoke thing tonight. But what do you say, Captain, on this Irish Rover? Are we getting that
Oh, yeah.
Guinnessy vibe, like the nitro? You tasting it?
Yeah, I mean, there definitely has that creaminess associated with nitro, and it's a really solid oatmeal stout.
Nice.
With like that with a bit of a hot profile, kind of a subtle hot profile, but it's there. It's very good.
All right, there we go. Okay, so we covered everything.
Cover the beers, I think.
Cover
Does
the
that mean
beers.
it's about?
Let's wrap things up.
Okay, yeah,
Eric,
it's been great having
it's a
everyone.
pleasure.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait
No.
a minute. I think we still we need to know a little bit more about Eric Trickover, and in fact, I think it's time to hear his
Origin story.
That's right. It's time to hear our Beer Venture to Be's origin story. And a reminder that his origin story is happening right now. The podcast is the final step in anyone's origin story. So
ever evolving.
we're all scrambling to figure out what Beer Venture name we're gonna give him. And I think we'll learn more of what to do as we hear about how he became to be the beer drinker that he is now. Eric, do you remember when you first encountered beer?
I do. I actually, I was a little bit, I was nervous today thinking about the story, but I really shouldn't. I should just jettison the nerves and say, my first experience with beer was my father sharing pulls off his bottles of Heidelberg.
Ooh,
Wow.
Now, Heidelberg isn't. It sounds like, oh wow, German awesomeness, but it was an Ontario brewed, very easy drinking kind of lager.
right.
I was born in 72, so I probably first tried beer when I'm sure I was out of diapers.
All right. Yes.
But not.
I mean, we don't have to worry about your dad because I think the statute of limitations is about that.
My
It's
dad's a
over as
great
far as
guy.
that goes.
No, it's fine. We'd be out and I'd be following him around and doing yard work and stuff. And he's drinking a beer, and I was like, I want to drink what my dad's drinking, so I want to taste it. So Heidelberg, they don't brew it anymore, unfortunately, not in Ontario. I'm sure there's a Heidelberg, Germany, that probably has 50 breweries. There's a brewery in every town.
I've been there.
Sure.
But it was basically like, I like this taste. But if you fast forward to sort of, high school and stuff, guys want to drink beer. But it was still kind of like there was no like interest in craft beer
Right.
because you're a teenager and you just want to get what you could find.
Mhm.
But now, so in Ontario, what was what you could find?
When I was younger, like
Because this was in. I'm just saying because I think we mentioned this before that you're from Canada,
yes,
and I'm curious
Toronto.
to know if because a lot of the big macro brewers, they're the same everywhere, but like that
They
cheap
are.
swill that you get is always, there's a little bit of a regional flavor to it, and so everyone has the different shitty beer they remember they had when they were in
Yeah,
high
well,
school and early college age.
the swill we loved in growing up was things like Labatt 50, Old
Classic.
Vienna, um, Molson Canadian, Molson Export, Labatt Blue. Some of those, most of those are still available. And, again, not wanting to turn a beer away, I would accept that now at a backyard barbecue. That'd be great, you know. But we didn't really know what we were talking about. And I don't think we even cared at that time. But, when you fast forward to sort of college time, you're going to pubs, and then we started to realize there were more options.
Mhm.
So it's funny because there's this misconception that maybe has already been over and done with about Canadian beer being better than American beer,
Okay.
which it is a misconception.
Yeah, I
Because
once upon a time held that
yeah,
I definitely
because
did too.
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the American craft beer movement, and I'm definitely was 10 years ahead of
Of
Canada.
Canada. Okay.
But
By
okay, but
maybe
before the
maybe even more.
but before the craft beer started, was your basic beer you could find in Canada better than the basic beer you could find in the States?
That was the conception, yeah, back in the day.
Yeah.
Well, I think maybe.
I
Okay.
used to drink Moosehead, eh?
Well, Moosehead, that's a good beer. That's family owned. It's still an independent brewery. It's a lager. There's not much to it, but it's fine.
I
It's
used to
good.
find it really strong.
Do you find it strong?
No, I did when I was like
Oh, you did? Yeah,
21.
sure. I think it was an alcohol content thing, to be honest, Captain. It was a situation where it's like, can't what's the bang for the buck?
Right.
Do I get
I'm still that way.
Well, I mean, yeah, why not? I mean, and it stands to reason. Like, there's more. I don't know. I don't really understand the way it works in terms of ABV, whether that would translate to making a more expensive beer. But if you're 15 and you want to get drunk,
First, you have to find someone to buy it for you.
yeah.
Right.
Very true.
Well, I looked older for my age.
And we're
Ah,
not encouraging any 15-year-olds out there to go find someone to buy you beer.
No,
Just let's be
don't
clear
do
on
that.
that. We're
No, you don't
especially
want.
not, especially if your daughter's listening.
Don't stand in a uh, parking lot tapping on the shoulders of people asking them. It was called shoulder tapping. Go in and get me get me a square of Molson Export.
Get a square, eh?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Totally. So you can get loaded. Um.
Now
So
we always talk about Budweiser and Milwaukee's best and that kind of thing. So to have a different perspective on that from a
well, I
different
mean,
country,
there's a Canadian equivalent to that. I
right?
mean, it's the same stuff. Although again, it suits a certain time of your life.
Right.
And then and I'll never forget. I had my godfather, Etienne Louette, nice guy, introduced me. He's like you like beer? You're 16. Who cares? Have a bottle of beer. And it was Upper Canada Lager. And I took one sip of it and I went, "What's wrong with this beer?" It
Upper
turns out
Canada.
Upper Canada Lager, and there wasn't
Upper
anything
Canada
wrong with it. It had flavor. It had body. I was like, this is weird. This tastes like this is like I'm chewing this. Like this is beer. This is like the beer that eats like a meal.
You weren't
So,
quite ready for it yet.
but that was part of the the evolution into. And then by the time I was in teachers college, I'll never forget there was a place called the Only Cafe, which is immortal. The only which is
Great name.
immortalized in a song by a wonderful Canadian band called The Lowest of the Low, and they had Dragon's Breath Pale Ale on.
Okay.
Oh wow.
And Dragon's Breath was Dragon's Breath. It was like, this is so good. And by the way, everything I'm talking to you about is discontinued.
Yeah.
There's
Mhm.
amazing stuff that's come down since then,
Sure.
but you can't. So Dragon's Breath blew my mind. And then not long after that, I was in the States where I was like, holy shit! Now we're talking beer.
Did it straight to New York?
Straight to New York. Yeah,
Mhm.
How old were you when you moved to New York?
26.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's young. Wait, I was
Yeah.
22. What am I talking about? Oh, geez. You're just a
And you
good
look
age.
it, and you still look it.
Thank you.
I think Beer Wonder is the youngest New Yorker of us all.
Perhaps. Well, having moved, I was still in my teens. I was not of legal drinking age, but
Mm.
that
I
was
was
a.
almost 30.
Oh,
So we
pitch
got every aspect.
That
of
was.
it.
I was going to say that doesn't really affect anything, does it, Eric?
drinking age.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was definitely a wake up call. That with this place, and I know that the captain and Huck have been to the apartment that I lived in with my wife,
The
and
one up near Columbia?
that's right, at 116th and Broadway. And we had this wonderful place, the University Food Market, and they had this thing you could get beer, by the you just pick what you wanted,
Oh, individuals. Yeah.
and some of them were 89 cents a bottle. I'm like, this is Candyland,
Oh,
and they were all great. Um, but I like some of the new. Like, do they still make New Amsterdam? Like that was good. That was
New
good beer.
Amsterdam.
I
Was
think
that actually
New,
made in New York? I mean, I don't know it.
I remember the name.
New Amsterdam. It was very good.
Jeez, that's
Yeah, I don't
keep
know.
going. I'm gonna look that up.
yeah. That's
Um,
a researcher.
either way, it was just like and then I had never had Sierra Nevada before, and that blew my mind. And
Now, your arrival in New York is about the same as mine. Were you seeing Brooklyn up there?
Yeah,
sorry.
Brooklyn Lager.
The Brooklyn
Oh
beers.
yes,
Were you
very
seeing?
much so. Is
Yeah,
that still around? Are they still?
because that was the
Yeah, they're
first one
doing
I
well,
saw
yeah.
when I moved to
Brooklyn
New York
Lager
in
was
'97.
definitely
Yeah,
killing it. They were. There
yeah.
was great beer. And so it was a sort of a gradual uh, progression to just and we go out to a restaurant, and the drafts, the options
Oh yeah.
were just, and still are, I think, to some extent, especially now that I I do have this idea. I was talking to my friend Ben about it, the guy from the Bird Bar and Grill. I would like the term craft beer to one day morph into just beer.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The top
because
10 beers in the U.S. are all mass market light
I guess
pale lagers.
we're not gonna get there
Well, yeah,
yet.
we do need to have somewhere to differentiate it from the macro brews.
It's just my only concern is that sometimes there can be a little bit of a what's the word,
Beer snob?
beer snobbery, some superiority.
Yeah, I mean, Huck's a beer snob. Huck's a proud beer snob.
Yeah, I
You
noticed
bet.
that.
The rest of us are just beer nerds, though.
But I don't
that's
judge
where we
other
like to-
people's beers.
That is true.
Just whatever's
Huck
going
is,
down my gullet.
Huck is accepting
is what I'm
unless he's
snobby
drinking it.
about.
Well, that's all good. Um, I just I'm willing to accept the idea that well, what I'd like to see, I think, is the easy drinking beer, that whatever we consider to be like the kind that we knock back at the backyard barbecue, to be elevated in some way, to make versions of it. Like that's why I was wondering whether Beer Wonder, whether your lager was maybe sort of a version of that it's a lager, so it's a little lighter. Maybe you could knock back a few more of those. I mean, there's still that aspect of beer drinking that isn't just like let's sip it. that's
Yeah.
for wine, and scotch. I'd rather be able to really. Sometimes you just want to pound a
Yeah,
beer.
yeah. That's why
Yeah.
I'm living the lager life, so I can put it down, baby.
I'm just now. I'm picturing a rewrite of the John Lennon song "Imagine." Imagine there's no Bud Light, no Miller High Life, only local. Yeah, whatever. I don't know. I'll work on it.
I feel like Eric and Huck may need to collaborate on that one
Yeah.
because that feels like an excellent project.
Now I'm looking at Untapped, and New Amsterdam seems to exist, and people have checked in this year drinking
Wow.
them,
Okay.
but I'm not seeing much evidence of their existence on the internet. It's very strange. Like, oh yeah, I guess they exist. I don't know.
This
It's
is a long
strange.
time ago. This is 20 years ago. So,
Yeah, so it sounds like your time in New York, about a decade or so, your beer taste really matured and evolved, and your palate was very prepared for your move to Michigan.
well, yeah. The Michigan was just a complete revelation. I had no idea that it would be as robust and as it is. The Michigan brew. Sorry, give me a second here. I went to the Bahamas for a second. The Michigan beer scene is serious. I mean, I think there's like a solid 200
Yeah. Oh wow.
indie breweries.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, here we've had to cancel it the last couple of years. We have a craft beer festival in our little town,
Oh wow.
and it's good, and it's hard to keep up because I think the last time I think they had 30 booths, and each booth had 4 taps. It's like how do you try everything? Um, so there's a lot to be proud of. Michigan has been in the news for the wrong reasons
Yeah.
recently.
Sure.
Yeah.
You we had our little Michigan had our little rehearsal for how to storm a Capitol.
Yep.
Yep.
It was a good one.
It was a good one. I mean, no one got killed,
Yeah.
but it
Yeah.
was like, hey,
Sure. Sure.
but we had that rehearsal, and then of course these wombats who wanted to kidnap our governor, and it's a shame.
That's all over now, though, right?
Now here's actually one thing because I think this actually
It makes
ties
you
very
want to
much into
drink
what
beer.
It does.
wasn't there some famous picture where she was just like afterwards where she just like was holding up a Bell's beer or something? I forget, like there was some famous photo where she was like saying I'm okay, and she was
What was
holding
she
up a
holding?
local
She
Michigan
was
beer.
holding up. I think she was holding up a bottle of Two Hearted or something, which is
Oh,
like
okay.
Okay, yeah.
basically Two Hearted is a good beer.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's a good IPA,
It's
and
won best beer at the Great American Beer Festival several times.
has it really?
Yeah.
It's very ubiquitous. I drink it a lot because, hey, I don't say no to any beers, Huck.
Well, this is kind of the funny thing about why it's good to try and avoid beer snobbery,
Mhm.
because every beer that becomes ubiquitous was at one point, oh, this is the most amazing thing I've ever had.
Mm.
And so even if it's great that you have all these small independent places there, but there was a time when Founders and Bell's, the first time you had it, was like, what the fuck is this? This is great.
Right.
I think that learning experience is it's hard to describe how important that is when you. And it doesn't just apply to beer,
Yeah,
obviously. It
sure.
applies
It's
to
a
beer,
well,
to
that's why this
music,
discussion is
and
really
books.
philosophy for life.
It's something that's new to you. You're not entirely like, wow, how do I feel about this? And then lo and behold, in the fullness of time, it becomes something that's important to you, that you love, that you really really enjoy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, being introduced to some of the more, and I still think back, as I mentioned already, about my my godfather, like, try this. Like, whoa, that tastes weird. That's because it has flavor, Eric. Oh yeah, yeah, right.
It was your gateway.
It was Gateway, but Gateway just did more beer, not to anything crazy like
Oh yeah.
crystal meth. It's like,
Not
wow,
yet. Not
Well,
yet.
I just
well,
love this beer. Hey, I've been drinking beer for a long time, and I still don't want crystal meth. Why? I don't know. I can't explain it.
Yeah, the term gateway has been very poorly used.
Not everyone
It's like,
walks through the gate.
no,
but you walk through the gate to better beer. That's a gate.
that's true. That is true. And for a lot of people, I mean, the it's exactly, Eric, what you were saying is that there's that imitation beer that winds up being the thing that brings them into something a little bit more interesting. You were thinking about like that idea of a crushable beer, something that's that light thing. What I'm drinking
Right.
is not, but
Okay.
there's a great brewery here called Keg and Lantern, which is in this old Polish bar that was this old like old school Polish bar in Greenpoint, Brooklyn. And they get a bunch of old Polish guys who still live in the neighborhood, and they show up expecting old school Polish beers. And so they brew a beer that is a slight twist on that, that's slightly more interesting, specifically to help these guys make the transition point. So I feel like the good work is being done.
Yeah.
That gateway thing you're doing is happening in like small doses. It just hasn't hit the mainstream yet.
Right.
Well, probably the best way to do it. You're not going to find that in a lot of America,
Mm-hmm.
given the way we're all sort of spread out in suburbia and that kind of thing. But the idea of the local brewery,
Mm-hmm.
local, like I was thinking,
Yeah, food too. Yeah, everything.
Yep.
if I wanted to, if food too, yeah, absolutely. If I wanted to, although beer is produce,
Correct.
I mean, it's like beer should be sold alongside the cabbages. It's like it's basically a vegetable.
I love
Um,
that. I love that. Yeah.
if you like, I thought about what if I wanted to take a beer tour of Europe,
Oh yeah. I've been
start,
talking about that. We want to do that.
starting in Germany,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm 49 years old. I wouldn't be done with Germany until I was maybe in my 70s, because
You're stumbling into London.
every
Yeah.
single town has a local brewery.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's what we do have one here in town. I really wanted to get, and if I'm invited back, if I can find it, we have a
big
local
if.
brewery here in Mount Pleasant. It's very good. I just wasn't able to find the bottles for
okay.
some reason; they weren't available. Mountain Town Brewery, and lo and behold, you go there to their place, and they do barbecue along with there's food. It's that's the experience when it's like we just made this is our newest offering, and they pull it on draft, and that's what you really get. I think there's a difference between draft. Maybe I don't know if I meant to ask you guys because you're probably
Oh
more
yeah, we've been
knowledgeable.
talking about that because we've missed a lot of draft in this past year
Difference
sure.
between
because we've been
something
doing
that's
more
in a
cans and
bottle or
bottles.
can versus draft.
Well,
Yeah.
I want to
Like,
open a can, by the way.
hey,
yeah.
hey, all right, me too.
I'm doing a.
Oh, is that some more of that Suarez family?
Yeah, more
Oh,
Suarez. I got
yes.
a nice half case from them. This is a nice smoked lager. It's a Rauchbier.
Oh, yeah.
And it's nice. I'm trying to do a smoked theme tonight. And so this again, I was learning, Eric, that excuse me, that on this show,
Sounds good.
Good
I'm
crack.
left-handed, but the labels are all pointed, so the picture looks good for right-handed. So I gotta work on my right-handed pouring. Here we go.
You're left-handed?
Always and forever. In fact, I play the
Oh,
uke.
I love that color.
I
You're
play
a
the uke
freak.
upside down.
Whoa.
That's
What
really dark for a lager.
What even is that? Like, I mean, it feels like it's a little bit translucent, maybe.
It's called Stands to Reason, and it's a smoked lager. Yeah. So
Wow.
that means the malts have been smoked in the way you get a smoked cheddar or a smoked.
Can I do
turkey.
another one then? Can I do
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And the nose,
yeah.
the nose is all smoked Gouda here. It's just like
Yes.
you get it right off there. Yeah.
So magical.
I want to make sure you're done. You've said your piece before you do mine.
Oh yeah, it's a good one. I know that I have one early. The only thing that I have about it is the head does die kind of quickly, but the flavor is just like, oh yeah, like this rivals like the German style. The what's that one? Acht Schlerenka, the classic Rauchbier, and this rivals that. Like if you were a German and you sat down and said, "Give me the Rauchbier," and they gave you this American one, they'd be happy. It's good. It's really good.
Nice.
Awesome.
Please, Mr. Cherkover.
Okay, so we'll do another one, if I
And then
may.
I'm sure the cap's going to be ready for one too.
So
Absolutely. I know we got this all lined up.
this
Hmm.
is the Crooked Tree. I just did the 2 IPAs um, that I was introduced to when I first moved here 9 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Crooked Tree was
Excellent.
it's the same. Honestly, it's the same story. The bird on tap. Um, this
The
is from
Crooked Tree I have heard of.
I have two, yeah.
This is Dark Horse Brewing Company, and they are located in where the hell are they located in? Well, it's somewhere in Michigan. We'll get to that.
That's fair.
I'll help you out with that.
But in the meantime,
Ooh, excellent crack on that one.
It says
Very excited.
Marshall, Michigan.
Marshall, Michigan.
Okay.
That's exactly right. Thank you, Huck. It's not. It's
Can you
stronger.
lift her up for the photo?
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
get that up there so we can see it.
There
Because
she
that
is.
now
Oh,
that one's almost got that grapefruit feel to it. Like that, it's somewhere between that golden straw and that like brown pale, but almost fruit juice. That one looks delightful.
It's a gorgeous beer, and they actually have a.
you're getting the classics out tonight.
I know
yeah.
this is good stuff.
There
Yeah,
you
They
go.
have
definitely
a.
some good stuff from
They
Dark
have a.
Horse.
They have a double IPA, Crooked Tree Double. It's way more intense in terms of alcohol volume, but the flavor is still drinkable. It's the kind of thing that kind of creeps up on you, to be honest.
Yes.
Um,
It's a nice thing about the
You-
doubles. Nice thing and the scary thing.
this one's a
Yes.
this one's a 6.5 with a 46 IBU, and you're right. It's Marshall, Michigan, Huck. So good call.
I'm all over the
Very good.
Instagram.
But yeah, this is an IPA that also I came into Michigan full IPA mode. I'm
Right.
like, this is what I like.
So this is their flagship, one of their flagship beers, yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and the IPAs just keep coming. It's again maybe overkill,
Mhm.
but people want it, and they don't. Man, this one is really good. They don't make a mistake either. They don't have Dark Horse is not nearly as big as Shorts.
Okay.
I think they
So
have a
Shorts
more
is
limited-
bigger.
Shorts is bigger.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, it's funny because we've definitely seen Dark Horse here, but not Shorts.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
That surprises
I
me.
may be mistaken. I'm thinking of maybe Crooked Stave is what I'm
No,
thinking.
I've definitely seen Dark Horse. I've had some
Oh,
dark
okay.
beers from them.
All right. Well, you're from the
I'm not gonna
Midwest, so
look it up
maybe
on
you
a-
had them in Ohio.
That might be, yeah.
No, I know here definitely. No, I haven't.
You must be crazy.
These
you must
breweries-
be
these
crazy.
breweries-
Crooked.
these breweries-
Crooked Tree
Good what?
in New York.
I mean,
Sorry,
honestly,
sorry.
unless I was hanging out with someone like Bulk, the incredulous Bulk we had, and there's so many great Ohio breweries, but that's another. I want to talk about that, but I need to have another beer first.
Yeah,
I
get
think
out.
you do. I think you do, Captain.
So for my second pour,
So it's
this
time
week,
to take a trip to the
No, I think
Captain said. What?
No, you want to sing it, you
What?
can.
What?
I just
No
this
trip.
isn't really. I got this beer 2 weeks ago, so it's not really a
I
summer.
know. I was just messing
thing.
around.
No, that was fun though. So it's always funny. We're never quite on top of our holidays here. This is releasing right before St. Patrick's Day, but we just had International Women's Day, but it's Women's History Month. So this is a beer I talked about last week, and I thought I've really got to have this on the show. It is from, now I want to look at this name again because it's funny. It's one of those, it's a Brazilian name, but there's so many similarities between Spanish and Portuguese that you sometimes will accidentally pronounce it the other way. And I'm still not necessarily going to be saying this right, but it's called Japas Cervejaria, or maybe Cervejaria, because I don't know if in Portuguese the J is pronounced, but it's not Cervejaria.
Cervejaria. I don't. Yeah, I'm not.
You did great. You did great.
Yeah, we're proud of you.
And this is a brewery run by 3 Brazilian women of Japanese descent.
Ooh.
Far out.
And although right now it looks like they're brewing some stuff out of Great South Bay on Long Island, because they're contract brewers. And last week I feel like I kind of mansplained the origin of Japas, so I want to actually read their specific. I think I was close, but I think I should read their specific language because that's what I was referencing anyway. Japas is a term widely used in Brazil to describe us, the 3 women who run it, since we are Asian descendants. And sometimes that can happen even without people asking for our permission. we decided to re-signify and reappropriate this adjective. After all, if the place of speech is ours, the word must be ours too, right? So let it be used with pride and to represent who we are, Japanese Brazilian. So this beer is called Black Miso.
Good for them.
Ooh, nice job.
It is a Russian Imperial Stout. And I was reading today about what miso is and what it does. Miso is not so much its own flavor, but it's a flavor enhancer. It takes the flavors that are there and just sort of makes them blossom.
Like a miso soup.
So here we go with
Nice
Ooh,
crack.
here we are.
nice one.
And here we are with our black miso Russian Imperial
It's
Stout.
black.
Oh, that is very black. Wow. Now
It's a beauty.
and barely any head.
A little bit of head there, yeah.
Yeah, just the slightest amount. What's the ABV on this one? You may have said
I think it's a 10.5.
Oh, bless it.
Bless it. What a
it.
beautiful
Yeah.
brown head on that too.
Right.
Nice job.
So yeah.
I was curious because I saw you guys are still using those glasses. Did any thought about the
I'm sorry, 11.5.
Thank you.
11.5?
11.5 with 68 IBU.
Yeah.
Does the structure of the glass make a difference? Do you think?
I was just looking this up earlier today. Now that
We
you mention
touched
it.
on that earlier, and I was wondering whether we could, if you could help me out on that.
Because I was like, I wanted to have my Rausch beer in the proper glass. So I looked it up and it just says, put it in a pint glass.
I could drink beer. I could drink beer out of a coffee mug. Like I really don't care.
Oh, sure.
As long as it's a clean glass, it's everything.
Right.
Any glass is good. But I wish there was more. Like a lot of these are like saying, yeah, go ahead, drink it out of a pint glass. Oh yeah, that one, pint glass.
Or drink it out of the bottle.
It's called justbeerapp.com. So I don't know if they're the be all and end all.
I mean, for me, I think a glass is like Pony Bar was good at this, but a glass is telling me how much of the beer I'm expecting to drink based on how high the alcohol is, and also how fast I'm going to drink the beer. Because like out of a shaker, out of this bad boy, this is a great beer for a lager. I'm just going to pound this sucker down.
Right.
But something that's a nice 10%, 11.5%, excuse me, Captain, is something you're going to want to savor. It's going to take a little bit more time. We're going to want to enjoy the aromas and focus them a little bit more. So some nicer glassware that gives us that time.
So a larger snifter.
Right.
This is generally it's a snifter style. It's generally called a tulip glass,
right.
also.
Right.
And I find that first of all, I have this like little cheap ass bar in the middle of my apartment with these upside down racks, and so I can hang it.
That's
that
great
way.
for drying. Yeah.
But I really like the way you can really take in the nose of it, because I think with if I know we're getting a little bit into the beer snobbery thing, but these really good beers do have a great aroma profile, and they're really good for that. I also I like holding it like this. I have some smaller ones that I use on occasion. I like these big fat ones because they're pretty much. I think this is a 16-ounce glass, so it's basically holds the same amount of beer as that one you have with the bicycle on it.
Okay, cool.
And I feel like it keeps it, might even keep it colder longer. I don't know. A 12-ounce one, a smaller tulip glass, is just empty too fast.
Yeah.
But this one, it's like I don't have to keep refilling a lot.
Well, but if you think about the little pours that we used to get at Pony, those little guys, I mean, that's always a high ABV beer. We're expecting you to sip that for a while.
8 ounce.
Like you're not going
They're expecting you to.
chug. Yeah,
It doesn't always work out that way.
They are. Well, Captain, you are a rare breed. So, but the idea is that like you're supposed to they want you to slow down on that bad boy. Where something like this, they just want you to throw that.
How about the flavor on this miso? What are we picking up here? What's going on?
It really is. It's like what I'm saying is like the miso is just it's like the it's just bringing out the flavors in it. So this just tastes like, I mean, it reminds me a lot of, say, like the old Rasputin, if you've ever had that.
Okay. Nice. Yeah.
I think it's out of what did we decided last week the week before when we had brew guy Phil on, we were talking about the North Coast. That's where they're from, right?
North Coast
Brewing. And that's like, to me, that's one of the best, like because it's got that sort of like that coffee chicory, a little bit of chocolate, but it's also it's not really not big on the sweet.
Okay.
Right? It's not like a milk stout. It's just like it's like fuck yeah, this is a stout.
Yeah, I've been reading about Russian Imperial Stouts lately in the Beer Bible, and
Bless it.
The Bible of beer, the beer Bible. It's funny because this beer Bible, I think it was published in like 2016, so it's crazily outdated.
Already.
You know what I
Which is the
mean?
amazing thing about craft
Right.
There's 4 years of beer there that you really need to catch up on. But they do talk about.
They don't even have the hazy IPA trend in that book.
Yeah, like it exists, but they talk about Heady
It was
Topper
just,
a little bit.
There's
but
a new beer we've heard about. We don't know.
exactly. But they do say the origin of the Russian Imperial Stout is that it was an English beer, and they were exporting their stouts. And who's the queen? Catherine the Great. She liked the English stouts, and so they that's how they started shipping them there. And they would add extra preservative, and they would so they would be stronger alcohol, so they would be they would last the journey, and that's how they got the name. There we go. So we'll fact check that for next week.
So Russian Imperial Stouts are kind of like
Huck's
came about the
correction.
same way that IPAs did.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that kind of how IPAs? It was like because they had to survive the trip to India.
Very similar. Very similar
That's why
profile.
they're called India Pale Ales.
Right.
Exactly.
Russian Imperial Stout, India Pale Ale. There's a parallel there for sure.
There you go.
Oh yeah.
Well, speaking of like history in beer, I we are getting to a beer related holiday, or at least Americanized beer related holiday.
We sure are.
Because it is almost, if my understanding is correct, we're closing in on St. Patrick's Day. Yes,
I believe so. I think
yes. If people are most ardent fans who listen to it the second this thing is released, they'll have 2 days to go.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's right. 2 days from now it will be St. Patty's.
Exactly, which is a time for green beer and all of that. And Huck is, I'm sure, rolling his eyes internally at me right now.
No,
Amateur night.
Exactly.
Amateur day in beer. Never mind.
But the craft beer world does not mess around sometimes when we get into our beers. And in fact, I believe, Captain, your first beer from Big Alice was Take on an Irish Stout. If I'm not mistaken, the Rover Nitro.
The word
Rover
indicates,
you mean my first beer tonight? Yes,
tonight.
That was
Yes,
Rover
exactly.
Nitro, and the can was a little green, which is why it kept disappearing every time I
exactly
rolled it up. Yeah.
Well, I wanted to, as sort of my a quick plug for some of our favorites. Our dear friends Big Alice, who are the makers of that beer, are currently doing a little bit of a St. Patrick's Day celebration. They're doing not only delivery to your door of a food and full Irish style meal paired with Big Alice beer that you can order online, which they'll be doing a virtual pairing with the chef of the meal and one of the brewers, but not only that, if you go to their Brooklyn location, which is where they do all their barrel aging, so probably where Huck's beer came from tonight,
Industry City,
beautiful spot, great beers. But the cool thing is they are doing a beer and cheese plate, and the cheese plate is curated by our dear friends at Astoria Beer and Cheese Ditmars.
Hello.
Oh, very good.
Cool.
Exactly.
No wonder they got such a big shipment from them last weekend.
See that.
No wonder the place is packed with Big Alice beers.
That would make sense, but I wanted to make sure that I threw that out, not only because
absolutely.
we send a lot of love to Big Alice, but also because, our fabulous sponsors are now in conjunction with one of our favorite local brews. Like, what's not to love? So get yourself down.
Is it okay if I spoil this story a little bit in the cold open? Because I think people need to hear that up front.
Of course.
I see, yeah.
Yeah, no, I honestly, I would run over there because it feels like that's a pretty solid way, especially for those of us who live in the County of Kings, where getting to Big Alice Brewery is not challenging, but it takes a little work. This is a quick hop, skip, and a jump to get a little bit of our favorite beer and now our favorite cheese in one spot, and celebrate the luck of the Irish.
I have not been to that space in at the barrel room. Mm-hmm. You don't know this, Eric, but Beer Wonder and I are now beer educators.
Hey,
not just here on the podcast, but we actually have a job where we take people through beer and cheese tastings, and they're supposed to be doing brewery tours as well. So
fingers crossed.
That's how the company was. We're doing them online, but soon, hopefully, we'll be actually leading people through breweries. Hopefully this summer.
Tastings. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, I can't wait. I really can't. I want to start doing it on our own very soon. I'm thinking next week I'm going up to Cape, but after that I'm going to start.
Well, you've also been
venturing
vaccinated.
I really have been vaccinated. Oh, I did get vaccinated, and everybody should. I want to send that message out
Yes.
that as soon as it's available to you,
Get
go
it.
and get the shots.
Get her done. Yeah.
And when I got my second shot, we were kind of hanging out at home, and I was like, I don't even feel it. It's fine. Like the middle of the night, I wake up with mad chills, and the whole next day it was like it's like I was hammered the night before, like it was New Year's Day. I'm like, oh, it was packed a wallop. But the next day, I'm good, and I'm really happy to have it, and I'm lucky to have it because I work at a beer bar, Eric, called Arts and Crafts, which is on 116 in Amsterdam, back your old stomping grounds.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, man, I don't know if you ever went over to the restaurant over there on the other side of the campus.
How long has it been there?
Arts and Crafts has only been there for about going to like 6 years, but before that, it was some restaurant. It was in a basement, but it's like directly across from the Columbia campus on Amsterdam. Like it's literally right, It's a Columbia building that owns.
Yeah, I probably haven't been. I don't think I was ever there, but that's cool. So yeah.
And we are open again. The Arts and Crafts beer parlor. Both parlors are open for business, indoor and outdoor.
That is exciting. That is exciting.
And I guess along those lines, we should say that the Pony Bar.
Yes.
Very
Are
good.
they reopening? Well, by the time you hear this, it'll be reopened. I think it's happening tomorrow.
We have Wednesday the 10th is, at least according to their Instagram. They appeared that Wednesday the 10th was going to be their reopening. I wasn't able to find anything on the website. I don't know if you checked, Captain, or Huck, but it's exciting. I mean, and that is certainly on my hit list of places I'm excited to get back to. That is very, very high.
I don't know if
Pony
we ever
Bar is
brought Eric
definitely
to the Pony.
No, that's after my time.
Yeah, for a while, because you have in-laws who live in the area, right? So you would occasionally, you and your wife and your kids would come visit.
Right.
But that's been a while since the last time that happened.
Yeah, and the in-laws are now in Florida because
There you go.
That makes it even more difficult.
Yeah,
It's a longer commute from Florida.
yeah. It'll be a while, although I think hopefully there'll be occasion to come back. I'll keep you guys posted, but it is what it is.
I got a guest room.
Hey, there you go. There you go.
Sign me up.
One more thing. Unfortunately, I found out today that Astoria Craft. I don't know if you guys ever went there, but there's this great little bar in Astoria, owned by the same people who do Oliver's, which is on Broadway in Astoria. I think they're some like less interesting bars in Manhattan, like House of Brews. They're actually their places in Queens are have been much more interesting.
I think we went
than
there.
that one, but
they
they
have
sadly have announced they're not going to reopen.
Oh,
So,
that's a shame.
Is it on a little triangle area street? Do we used to go there after the?
sort of. No, they're like I know, and I think I know where you're talking about, but this is a little more recent. My theater group, we would occasionally go there afterwards.
Sport,
but
or what was it called?
Astoria Craft.
Craft with a K.
No.
Oh, never mind.
No, I know where you're talking about. No, not that place.
Okay.
That place, that's a weird
Fuck
place.
that place.
I'm glad. Not necessarily,
Hey,
but
no.
they're a place. That was a place. I'm glad I can't remember the name because I'm going to say something shitty about them now. They are weird because they've often had good beers, but they're also have a real dude bro sports vibe to it as well.
The last time we were there, you and I split a picture of Arrogant Bastard.
That's right.
Is this the part of the show where we talk about everything?
Everything.
It is, but I do have another topic I want to get to, but we're still talking about beers and bars.
Yeah.
No, that place was great because when you would come to see my shows out there, and it was really close to the subway, and they did actually have good beer.
Yes,
and they were huge. They had a giant backyard, so even like on a Saturday night, we knew we could all hang out.
Right.
But yes, we can talk. If you had a topic on your everything list there, Eric, we can get
No,
that. But
not at all.
I want to see that glass again, Eric, because it's so. Your lacing is.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that!
Oh wow, that's beautiful.
See,
that's really.
that's a nice
beautiful.
clean glass. What's your glass cleaning technique for your beer glasses?
I put them in the dishwasher and hope for the best.
See,
that's pretty much
okay.
it.
See, I have to hand wash
Dishwasher,
mine.
fancy.
I'm too meticulous about it.
Dude,
But it seems to be working
I
out for you.
hand
You
wash
must have a good
mine.
dishwasher.
I hand wash mine because I don't have a dishwasher.
I did. I need to. I'm trying to work on it. It's like it needs some work. My dishwasher.
Yeah. Well, it seems to be doing a good job. That's good. It looks like a nice clean glass.
No, it is. And actually, the reason why it has the bicycle on it is I
Yeah.
bought it from a friend who used to manage a bike shop.
Hmm.
Oh, cool.
This was one of their extra things that
Makes
they
sense.
sold.
Bikes and beers, they go together.
They do.
They actually do.
Yeah,
Apparently.
they help you not to drink and drive.
So what do you think
Well,
Eric's beer
Hop
venture
on a
name should
bike. Sorry, go ahead.
be? No, I didn't realize you were still going there. Yes, hop on
I'll
a
be
bike.
right back.
My bits never end. They just keep going until somebody
No,
tells me to stop.
Also true.
I think we've learned a lot about Eric in as we've been talking about all these things, and I think maybe it's time to start discussing what his beer venture name might be.
Oh, Beervenger. You know, I have been thinking about this.
Mhm.
Yeah. Let me think on it just a little bit longer. I have a couple ideas, but if you guys have something. What about Eric himself? I mean, you've heard the show. You know that we have that we're Beer Vengers. What's the Beer
Right.
Venger name? Cider Girl might have something.
More cowbell, Eric.
That's it.
More Cowbell Eric.
Bricken just said it. More Cowbell Eric, and that actually works on
More
a couple
Cowbell
of
Eric.
levels. That works on
does,
several levels that you guys might not even know. Now, there's a beer here, Eric, called More Cowbell Eric, and it's a milk stout from Single Cut Brewing, and Single Cut
It's a brewery I can walk to from my
is
house.
named for. Do you have a Single Cut guitar there, or is that a double cut?
This?
That's a double cut. Okay, you know, Single Cut doesn't have the two. You have the two things there, the thingies, where a Single Cut just has one thingy.
One thingy, that's right.
You know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking
Okay, so he's a guitar player, Single Cut. His name is
Right.
Eric. And the third part of that is that you were a member of the well-known band White Cowbell, Oklahoma.
about. Briefly, but yes.
Yes, so I think that's it. I think
I love it.
I think that's it. I mean, I don't want to be a bully
Cowbell
about
Eric.
it, but
I mean, you have named so many, Huck, and I feel like this one definitely seems like it fits.
So tell me my name again so I can write it down.
With either more Cowbell Eric or just Cowbell Eric. I always feel
Cowbell
like
Eric
most-
might that
I
might
feel
work.
like
Cowbell Eric.
yeah,
We don't need
Well,
the more,
but-
yeah.
But what about if my secret identity is I'm Eric?
How about just more cowbell?
or just Cowbell.
Just cowbell.
Cowbell.
Or
Cowbell.
the cowbell.
Cowbell. There we go.
Cowbell or Cowbell.
I think
What do you
this is-
say?
This is
What do I say?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we're not going to force a name on you.
It's your name.
I mean-
Eric, what we were talking, the Single Cut, where they have a stout, and that's why they called it. All of their beers were named after famous single cut guitar players,
Right.
And the Blue Oyster Cult guitarist was named Eric something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what his last name was, but his name was Eric something. And so when they came out with a milk stout, because it was a milk stout, the
Right.
cow connection there, so they called it Even More Cowbell Eric Milk Stout. They put Eric in the name because they would like for instance, they had one that was they had a beer named after Ozzy Osbourne, but they called it John Michael something because that's his real name.
John Osborne, yeah.
Right, and they
But
have
well, the
the
full name I guess is John Michael Osbourne, so they called it John Michael.
they have the
something.
Jan, which is named for the guitarist from Hocus Pocus, the Dutch guitarist.
Cool.
They have the
They have-
Kim
they
named
have-
for Kim Wilde, I believe.
It sounds right, yeah.
What are they? They the half stack, the full stack, talking about the amplifiers, you know. So it's all guitar related.
They eventually ran out of guitarists, so they had to branch out. They started naming them after songs. Like there was one, their anniversary one I had this year was called "Steel Idle Trees," which we had to look up.
It was a
because
Boston
it's
reference,
named
yeah.
after a Boston song, a lyric from a Boston song.
And they have Does Anyone Remember Laughter and weird
right.
and gilly.
Laughter.
There you go. Anyway, I like it. Mr. Cowbell. The Cowbell? Cowbell.
The cowbell.
The Cowbell. I love it.
Cowbell works.
All right, Cowbell it is. I did realize something just now. When I was talking about the name of the single cut beer, I called it Even More Cowbell, and I was confusing it with the Evil Twin beer. It's just more cowbell.
They should do a collab.
They should.
That would be good.
That'd be the Imperial Milk Stout. Yeah, that's
an
perfect.
imperial
actually.
version of Eric, and call it Even More Cowbell Milk Stout.
Even more cow. That's an easy one.
When you're the cowbell, you don't need more cowbell. You're the cowbell.
Oh, I mean, we're going to need more cowbell as soon as this episode is over, because that gives us the perfect name for your sequel. When we have you back, the name of the episode is going to be More Cowbell.
Yeah, that's good. Well, it's from
honor me by even suggesting that I'll be returning. I hope to be back.
I also want to weave in your French origins, because I just looked this up, because your alternate name, I think, might be, let me see here, La Sonne. So you might be Cowbell, a.k.a. La Sonne. French word for cowbell.
Fantastic.
Very good.
There's a small...
C'est bon, c'est bon.
And then your children will be les clochettes, because those are the...
They're what? Excuse me?
There's the small cowbells.
What'd you call his children?
Well, because if he's the cowbell, then his offspring would be the small cowbells.
It sounded like you said little shit.
No. I said clochette.
Little shit.
Clochette. And that's the plural version, because they both
They're
sound the same in
teenagers
French.
now. We can't call them that.
No.
They have a
So all
word
right.
for
So
it.
cowbell it is. I know we're running a little bit long right now, but
Is there any other business?
What?
Is there any other business? Anything we want to cover?
Yes. I think there is something I'd like to cover.
Please.
We frequently talk about our friends at Curtain Up.
Yep.
The hazy IPA to benefit the performing arts, similar to, we talked about Black is Beautiful, about how they have one recipe. Lots of breweries are participating. At this point, I believe it's 59 breweries in 11 different states. And I wanted to mention this specifically tonight because one of those states is Michigan.
Hey.
Michigan has 3 separate breweries participating in this one. We'll see if you know all of these. I think you're going to know at least one. One of them is Alpha. Do you know that one, Cowbell?
No, I'm not familiar with it, but
I think it's in Alpha, Michigan. There's not much more to it than that. Then there's Black Rocks.
That rings a bell.
Okay. And the third one
Rings a cowbell.
freaks a cowbell.
Hey.
It rings a shit.
The third one is Shorts.
Ah, there you go. I'm telling you.
Hey.
We've come full circle.
They are the best. Love shorts.
That's fantastic.
So
Wow.
so yeah, if you want to support your out of work friends in the performing arts, look for Curtain Up Beer in 11 states, including, well, I was going to say including 3 breweries in Michigan, but the thing that first got me on this was I noticed that Alpha released it a month ago and they're sold out. So you're not going to, it doesn't matter so much that you don't know where they are, but I'm sure they're a wonderful brewer anyway, especially.
Great to know that they sold out.
Yeah, because they participated in the Curtain Up program.
Love it.
Do you gentlemen have any more business to discuss to add to all of this?
I don't want our viewers to worry if they didn't get their hookups this week. My corrections. But there's only one. I just want to say that the movie Strange Brew, starring Bob and Doug McKenzie, they are not a Hamlet character. They're their own thing within the Elsinore thing. So that's it. That's all the hookups.
Right. It's all loosely inspired by Hamlet.
Yes, indeed.
But not the same universe, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and they're also Canadian.
No, I mean there's a Ghost, there's a Claudius, there's
Elsinore Brewing
Brewery,
yeah.
But they're just a couple of, they're Bob and Doug. Okay. They're not replacing Hamlet, which is what I implied last week.
Is there a ghost in it somewhere?
And the Ghost, yes, that's right.
Okay,
the Ghost helps them out, helps them to escape the clutches of the evil Max von Sydow.
Canadian is remiss because it's been a while.
Yeah, I did actually see it again about 5 years ago, but and it was fun revisiting it. All right, well,
B Dubs, you got something?
I mean, there's just so much beer to be drunk in the world, y'all, and
There
and I
is.
think we need to continue to do our part to bring good beer to the people.
Yeah,
You
and we're
know,
looking forward to having your beer.
indeed, yes, very exciting. I have already sampled it. Nothing has exploded in my undisclosed location. So, gentlemen, there will be a very large 750 milliliter bottle of something we'll need to name on air. I think that that's a good.
Oh, we want to name it on air.
I mean, I think we should. I feel like
Okay.
we need to give the people what they want.
Yes.
But it is a delicious amber ale that I'm very excited to share with you
Oh,
all.
wonderful. Well, you should name the brewery
Well, yes, naturally, it's Beer Wonders undisclosed
Beer
location.
Wonders. Okay.
Beer Wonders undisclosed location is yeah.
Beer Wonders undisclosed location. Beer Wonders artisanal ales. And
And the name of the beer is undisclosed location golden
Undisclosed
ale.
location.
oh no,
There
we're
we
going to
go.
name it on air. We're going to name it on air.
All right,
Exactly,
I mean,
exactly.
that's
Good
we're just
start.
spitballing here. We're not
Exactly.
it's
This is just a
finalized.
brainstorming session, right?
Up happy.
Well, this has been great having you, Eric, or should I say Cowbell, aka Lesson.
The Cowbell.
The
Cowbell.
Cowbell. Okay, well, that's perfect because the is part of la. But no, Cowbell is just your nickname.
Yeah, it's great to have you.
Your
Great to
your
have you for the
proper
show.
name is the Cowbell, but we might address you as Cowbell if that's all right.
Well, that's
with you,
fine. Okay,
Mr.
yeah, it's like
Cowbell,
calling you
Mr. The
Cal.
Cowbell.
Mr. Or hey Bell, what's going on? You can do
Yeah.
that.
CB, what's hanging?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I'm open.
CB.
We'll let them happen organically.
Yes.
But listen, I think I speak for all of us when I say, come back anytime.
Absolutely, yes.
Very much so.
Anytime. This has been wonderful.
You
Now I did hear. It sounds like, and I actually see you clutching it there. Huck was going for his uke, but then I saw you grabbing your electric guitar. And there's some of these who are listening closely might have heard him noodling a little bit before. Cowbell, the Cowbell, yes, May, is going to play us out with his own special version of the Beer Vengers theme. Thanks everyone for listening, and yeah, play us
If
out.
I can remember the
CB.
tempo, I'll do the
See you
best I
next
can.
week, folks.
Have a good one.
Beer, 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 Avengers, beer, 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 Avengers, beer, 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 Avengers, beer, beer, Avengers.
It's the best I can do.